Hello, friends. Welcome to Vortex and Alchemy. First, thank you so much for being here. Also, thank you everyone who has subscribed to my channel. As I've said before, I have created this channel for other light workers that are trying to hold space for the planet right now, as we're, changing the frequency. I have a full-time job, so it has been a couple weeks since I've posted. So thank you for your patience. And overall, just thank you all for being here. I hope whatever comes out today you find helpful. Today we are going to be doing a card pool, basically, for your astrological signs. Now, I've hesitated on doing this in the past just because really we have every sign in our chart. So just focusing on one sign is not always, the most helpful. Depending on how much you know your natal chart and, your sun, moon, rising signs, I would say, one, if there's any that call to you, listen, like watch it. I also would say that more than typically, like, people lean more into their rising sign when they do astrological readings. So you can start there or start with your sun sign. I would highly recommend at the very least to do your sun, moon, rising. If you're wanting a little bit more information in terms of like maybe relationships and, the outer realms or how you connect to the outer realms, then you can also look at your Venus and Mars placements. But yeah, don't worry, we're going to have timestamps. So there are timestamps that are going to be down in the comments and then also in and under the info space after the title of this video to make it a bit easier for you to jump around. So again, with that, we're going to go sign by sign from Aries to Taurus. I've already pre-pulled oracle cards and oracle messages. And basically some signs got 2 to 3, depending on what came out. And I don't gatekeep the universe. So we're just accepting whatever came out for each sign. Additionally, if I feel I need to pull any more cards, I will. So all of these may be slightly different in how long of a reading you get. And we're going to give this a try and see if you guys like it and see if I like it. So again, thank you for being here and for sharing your energy with me. So we're going to begin with Aries. And the first oracle card that came out for Aries was listen. You're being asked to listen to your inner voice. It's been guiding you to do something or say something, and it's time to act on its wisdom. You also got, what areas of your life are you avoiding? Are they causing you upset, worry, disrupted sleep? If so, these are the areas you need to focus on. As much as you don't want to, it is necessary. Tackle your demons head on. Don't allow them to rule you for a second longer. And then we also got 2 final cards that popped out, which was bold moves only, which is a very Aries card. And then we got be the first to believe. So for the most part, I'm just going to be doing channeling. And like I said, I probably will pull a couple cards on this for you. This to me feels like you are in the middle of a battle. And this is a battle between your ego and your higher self or your intuition. This listen is, I think, where you have been struggling. Aries is a very powerful sign, right? And we have a lot happening right now. There's an Aries Stellium that is occurring this week and kind of has been. You have, I think, 5 planets in your sign right now. So there's a lot occurring in the moment. And it's also a little bit confusing energy because it's energy that's trying to push you forward, but also hold you back at the same time and also show you patterns at the same time. So you might be feeling just a little overwhelmed and a little bit confused of like what direction you may want to go. What's interesting to me though, is it feels like really like in your soul, like in your intuitive space, you actually already know where you want to go. This to me feels like it's a new beginning. It's something where you're trying to go into something new. You're trying to leave your comfort zone, which for Aries, they're one of the bravest of signs. So in terms of leaving your comfort zone, it's something you can do every day. But whatever this has to do with, it's something that is causing pause, which is also like not necessarily a normal thing for Aries. Aries does tend to act first and think about it later and deal with consequences later. whatever this is, it's been a bit of back and forth. And it is these two energies where it's like, go for it. And be the first to believe. And then also this, what areas of your life are you avoiding? Because to me, this feels very much like that tackle your demons head on. This has more to do with tackling your ego. So whatever fear-based information has been coming through, or anything that's been holding you back from kind of taking that first step, and some of it even could just be some clarity, like this, be the first to believe. It may be something that, you know, your ego's telling you there's no way, you can't do it, it's not going to happen. But it's like your heart and soul knows, like, no, I think not only do I need to do it, but I have to go big at it. So for sure, this has something to do with you really leaning into your intuition. And how I always like to talk about intuition and higher self is it always tends to be the least emotionally attached reaction. So whenever you have a spike in emotion or anxiety around something or around a topic, if you're asking yourself, you know, how do I really feel about this? One, you know, intuition is not just your gut or your heart center, it's your whole body. So it's an antenna, right? So it feels like you needing to ask yourself, really, like, is this the direction I want to go? Is this the way that I want to go about it? I think that the answer is there. Now, if you have a spike in emotion and whatever that response is, very much that is your ego. If it's a bit more mellow and a bit more matter of fact, that's your higher self. So I don't think I need to tell you what to do here. It feels like you already know exactly what you need to do. You've just been kind of avoiding it. And some of it has to do with, I think, just the fact that it's rare for you to pause. And I think it's the energy that's causing that pause right now. And it can be a timing thing, right? It may not even be so much like you have to experience this, but there is something in here that feels like it may be breaking a habitual thought pattern, or a habitual, like, egoic pattern, something that has held you back in the past, even if it was like related to something different. So I just want to pull a quick card from your higher self. Oh, lovely. So you got the Lovers and Success. So, you know, obviously the Lovers, it's funny because so many people are like, it used to be the Choice card. And yes, it did. But also that cracks me up because I'm like, well, they changed it for a reason, right? So like, it still is a choice, but it's usually a choice within something that you love, whether it's a person, place, or thing, right? So this also usually has to do with some sort of soul connection or soul contract or like destiny element to it. Now, you have the Lovers and Success come out. So, like, if again, whatever has been holding you back, whatever fear is telling you, like, are you sure? Like, it may not work out. Your higher self is telling you to go for it. This bold moves only and be the first to believe. Lean into that energy. You already know what you want, and there's actually no reason for you to not have it. There's a reason for the pause. And some of that I think has to do with timing. The other has to do with a lesson about you actually learning and listening to your inner voice and not your ego. Because I think sometimes Aries too, we all struggle with this, but Aries can sometimes lead with ego. Because again, it's like, I want this, get out of my way, I'm gonna do it. And then maybe repercussions are coming afterwards. You are mature. Like, you have learned a lot from your history. And I think you're trying to learn how to pause a little bit before making some of these decisions. And maybe this is the first time, especially for a big decision, that you've done that. And that could be what's making it a little uncomfortable because you're trying something new. So obviously you have the Lovers and Success. So whatever this is, like, bold moves only. Be the first to believe. Go after it. Anything that has been causing you worry here, it's time to make that decision or choice so that you can move forward because you're ready. Thank you, Aries. Okay, next we're going to do Taurus. So Taurus received slow down. If mom, you're watching this, this is ironic and very funny. Life isn't a race, nor is it a competition. You need to slow down. Doing so doesn't make you weak or less than. It makes you strong, wise, and much better able to navigate life with clarity and ease. You also got create. You're being asked to connect with your creative side in whatever way feels best. This part of you needs extra attention right now. It needs to be expressed in a bigger way. You also received 3 of these oracle cards. So your higher self has a lot to say. The universe has a lot to tell you today. We got, make sure you don't start seeing yourself through the eyes of those who don't value you. You need to know your worth, even when others don't. You are not what people think of you. We also got, you are feeling somewhat confused by the events that are unfolding around you and the various seemingly contradictory information that is coming your way. Trust your instincts and do what they are telling you to, and you will learn a lot about yourself and the direction you want your life to take. And then you also received, you wouldn't plant a seed and then dig it up every few minutes to see if it has grown. So why do you keep questioning yourself, your hard work, and your decisions? Have patience, stop overthinking, and keep watering your seeds. And then the very final message card that you got was, you're the author. So this to me is actually a lot about you learning to stand in your power in a different way. You know, similar to Aries, Taurus can be very stubborn, but kind of in the way that it's like, you usually know what you want, how you want it to look, how you want it to show up. And, you know, normally I would say slowing down isn't always an issue for Taurus. Like a lot of times Taurus is one of the signs that actually knows how to slow down a bit. But right now there's something that is being brought to your attention. And to me, even with this creation card, this has a lot to do with you learning how to stand in your power, but in a power with energy, not a power over energy. And a lot of the power over energy that you may have been, you know, living in for a while, it comes from this, you need to know your worth, even when others don't. A lot of the decision making that you have had in the past may have come from this. It's interesting because there's a little bit of a back and forth here where it's like, if someone tells you you can't do something, oh, you're going to do it and you're going to succeed at it and you're going to show them. But also there's a part of you that needs validation, that from outside of yourself. So even if it's not that person, if that person is the driving force that gets you to go after something and to prove to yourself that it's possible, there's still something where it's like, you still may feel like you need someone outside of you to say, oh, look, you did do it. Like, great job. Right. I think that there's something here where it's like, you've had a lot coming at you and a lot that has been fully out of your control. And I think it's been forcing you to slow down. So, you know, whether that's something that's happened with your health or something that's happened, you know, even in your personal life that has kind of forced a slowdown in your space, it's all on purpose. And this like creative energy that's coming through it's basically about how to turn some of this need for validation, this energy of you seeking outside of yourself, into something productive. And with, you know, this creative energy, this could obviously be 1,000 different things. But it feels like for whatever reason, your focus, I think, has been on a lot of confusion right now. And the things that you have been focused on, it's like you're feeling incredibly impatient about it. So it's just like this digging a seed up every few minutes to see if it's grown yet. That's what the slowing down is about. It's like if you've already had started something in the past or put something together to start to, you know, hopefully have it unfold, it feels like, one, you may have started that, and I mean this kindly, but out of a little bit of spite or like, I know that I can do this. It's that determination energy, but it feels like there's a secondary party involved here. So someone that was involved in some sort of decision making around this. And the difference is, in the past, that power over energy may come in where not only is it like, I'm going to prove you wrong, but you also are going to do it in a big and a loud way. And then there's this other part of you where you're trying to learn power with, which is more like, I actually know my worth. So I want to, if I'm going to go for something or do something, I want to do it for myself, not necessarily to prove to someone else that I can do it. So that's the difference a little bit with that energy between power over and power with, like whether it's power with yourself or power with others, you basically leaning into something and making choices for yourself. That has everything to do with you. So whatever secondary energy may have started this process, part of your lesson or what you're learning right now has to do with you doing something for you. And there's also this like trust your instincts and do what they are telling you to do, and you will learn a lot about yourself and the direction you want your life to take. So again, it feels like there's been some energy in here that's maybe been meddling in your space, if not you meddling within your own space. You have an old way of thinking, an old pattern that you have in terms of making decisions or how you start a project or how you go after something. And you're starting to kind of change or needing to change the method around that, where it's, you know, your worth, you're standing in your power, you're slowing down before making a decision and making sure that it's for your higher good, right? Making sure that whatever it is, it's making or satiating your creative side. And that, again, doesn't have to just be like art, you know, creative problem solving, creative thinking, all of those things are still part of create. It's also creating a new space, creating a new hobby, creating a new friendship, you know, like there's a lot that can be part of this create. I think where you're feeling confused is because this is a new way that you're approaching something, which is independently. This is specifically just for you and doesn't involve anybody else, what they want, or, you know, their opinions. And I think that's actually why it's feeling a little bit confusing, because you're kind of used to having that secondary or third party, like in this situation, that's part of the drive. And this is very much like you trying to let go of the need to have drive out of spite, you know, like out of, I'm going to prove you wrong, and to create your own drive, because you know your value, like you know your worth, and you actually don't need to be instigated into making a decision anymore based on someone trying to like push you in that direction. So whatever this is, like your final card in here is you're the author, which is like you are the creator of your story. No one else is. So whatever power you've given away before, in terms of why you're making decisions or why you're making the choices that you are, or what the goal is of making those choices, I think you're starting to realize like it's all about you. This whole life is about you. Like without you, there's nobody, right? So like you are the most important person in your life. But I think it's about shifting how you make your decisions to a healthier space of doing it for you, not doing it to prove somebody wrong, you know? Because this is, I think, a lot of defensive energy. It's been a lot of survival mode energy, and you're moving past that. You've done a lot of healing. You don't necessarily need to come from that space anymore. And I think that's why this like confusing energy, it's because a lot of this doesn't align with who you are now. Like a lot of the power over energy isn't really who you are anymore. And I think that's why it's feeling a little bit off and you're trying to shift into something different. So I pulled a couple cards for you and I got laziness and friendliness. What's lovely is this is the Nine of Cups and the Two of Cups in the tarot. So this to me is funny because it's like, here's that slow down energy. And Nine of Cups, you know, that represents like creating dreams for yourself, right? It's you, the Eight of Cups is about walking away from something that's not fulfilling and walking towards something that is going to offer you something more. And I think the difference here, even with the Two of Cups, like Two of Cups is usually a love card and it's equal reciprocity, equal give and take. I think, you know, obviously this could have to do with like a personal relationship or love, but to me, this feels like you fully owning your dreams and coming into a space of balance with yourself, that no longer will anybody around you and their opinions of you or what you can or can't do, it won't matter anymore because it's not about them. You're the author. So step into this energy. You're already like halfway there. I feel like you've got a foot in and a foot out. And that feels very much like, again, it has to do with you being in a new version of yourself and an old version of yourself. But you're ready to take that leap forward. And I think some of that has to come from this slowing down, which is funny because I'm like leap forward, but also slow down. And honestly, that's the energy right now with, you know, all of the planets in Aries, there's a lot of like momentum, forward momentum, making a choice, go for it. And then also like, but not quite yet. So this has more to do with you being patient with yourself. I think this like planting something, then digging it up to see if it grew. This is about you questioning yourself and your hard work. So this is the thing. It's all about your decisions. Have patience, slow down, stop overthinking, and keep watering your seeds. You're the author. So keep moving forward. You're in a really good space right now. I think you're at a point where you're about to like clear an old version of yourself out and like move into this new version of yourself. Just allow yourself the time to slow down a little bit. Like, don't rush yourself. It doesn't have to look a certain way. You'll know when it feels right. And, you know, just continue to give yourself grace as you're going through this process. It's hard to become different. It's hard to change. It's hard to move into a new energy and frequency for yourself. So I don't know that we ever give ourselves enough time and grace as we're going through some of this to just make it a little bit kinder for ourselves. So that's what I have for Taurus. Now for Gemini, we received open up. You're being asked to open your heart to another, to let down your walls and trust that they want what's best for you. Your life will open up in wonderful ways once you decide to open up. You also got expand. So they said what they said. You're being asked to expand. You live in a huge world with endless possibilities, and staying safe in the known is no longer working for you. It's time to make your world just a little bit bigger. It's time to imagine the possibilities and go for them. And then we also got learn to ride the waves of life. When faced with difficult times, you can either fight against the current or go with it. So ask yourself, what is to be gained by depleting your energy and fighting against it? Don't do that to yourself. And then the final card that came out was Be Louder Than Doubt. So this to me actually does feel more relationship based, you know, and that can be any type of relationship. It can be family, friends, or love. But there's something in here about this fighting against the energy. You're fighting against this. And you're fighting against this because of this. So like you're fighting against opening up and expanding, which, you know, it creates vulnerability. It is forcing you to open yourself up to another person in some way. And the reason why you're having a hard time and why you're fighting against it is this doubt. So this has a lot to do with your past. This has a lot to do with any hurt or pain or experiences that you've had. This has a lot to do with trust. And, you know, I've said it before and I will say it again, like we've all tried to be vulnerable at some point in time in our lives, and it didn't go well. You know, like we've all experienced that where we shared as much as we could about ourselves to somebody and it wasn't received well. And from that, it's like, even if you've tried it multiple times in little doses and you don't receive like the most positive experience, that just creates more and more of these like mountains of doubt, right? So to me, it feels very much like that learn to ride the waves of life. This is basically about like when faced with difficult times, you already know what that feels like. You've already experienced all of that. No one needs to tell you again what it felt like to hurt or to be betrayed or to go through an experience where you felt not only not heard or not cared about, but abandoned in situations. So like you've already felt all of that. You don't need to pre-fill that with a new situation. So it's almost like some of this like fear around opening up and expanding has to do with the doubt because of experiences that you've already had in the past. So any fear that's coming up in this space has nothing to do with the current situation. This feels like a new situation to me. This doesn't feel like a return or a reunion of some sort. Like this feels like new energy. And you've been fighting against this new energy, and you don't have to. So this is like that information about baggage, right? Like bringing baggage into a situation. It's almost like bringing the wrong things for a trip you're going on, right? So like you can look at it as bringing some bags full of things, like let's say it's all winter clothes and you're going to an island. You don't need to bring that in with you. You've learned the lessons that came from these situations in the past. The only thing that you're doing right now is you're slowing down progress, you're slowing down your own growth, and you're slowing down a new experience. So I want to pull a couple cards for you, but for very sure, your higher self is really telling you to trust. Like it's time to trust. You know best. Okay, so we got the outsider, postponement, and maturity. These are your fears. So this is the past. This is stuff you experienced in the past, that always feeling like you weren't fully part or fully welcomed in or fully involved, and things always being put on hold or never being able to move fully forward. So like that could be, you know, new relationships coming in and never getting off the ground, or lots of stop and start and, you know, like back and forth, people coming in and out of your lives. You know, the thing I love about the outsider card so much is you have this child who's like looking at this beautiful rainbow on the other side, and you know, just you can tell that whatever's on the other side of this is like everything that this kid's ever wanted. And he's so busy at looking at what he wants and he thinks he can't have, that he doesn't notice that the lock that's on this chain is unlocked, and all he has to do is pull that off and he can open the door and go exactly where he wants to go. So I feel like in the past, you've had experiences with people, with relationships, where you feel like you weren't all the way in. You feel like you weren't let in. And maybe you also tried being vulnerable with that person, but that person would not be vulnerable with you. So this be louder than doubt, that's that maturity card coming in. You've already learned all of this. Like you've already learned these things. You don't need to feel that anymore. And I'm actually going to look up this specific card because I want to see what it has to say to you, because it feels like there's more of a message in here. 1 second, sorry. I swear every single time I go to try to find a card, it's when I can't ever find it. Okay, here we go. Okay, so be louder than the doubt. Your belief should be the boldest voice. This key theme on this card is self-belief, confidence, inner voice, overcoming fear, mental strength, and empowerment. Doubt will whisper. It will question, compare, second guess. That's its nature. But your belief must roar. You don't need to silence every doubt to move forward. You just need to make sure your faith in yourself speaks louder. This card is a reminder that self-doubt isn't a stop sign. It's just background noise. You are allowed to move, speak, and rise anyway. Let your vision, not your fear, take the lead. Let the voice that says, I can, drown out the ones that says, what if I can't? You are your own amplifier. Turn yourself up. It says, if you're hesitating because your inner critic is loud, you're not alone. That voice may sound convincing, but it isn't truth. It's habit, and it's often louder just before a breakthrough. This card invites you to shift focus, feed the voice of beliefs until it becomes your default setting. You don't need to be completely confident to act. You just need to back yourself harder than the voice of fear ever could. So again, I think the key here is the fears of the past no longer apply to the present. Don't hold yourself back out of fear of repeating a pattern you've already seen and learned and conquered. It's hard being a Gemini, okay? Having Gemini energy in general can be very difficult. Geminis get a really bad rap. They're always saying that it's like a bipolar energy. But for me, it's always been a battle between the head and the heart, a battle between the ego and the intuition. And so this is about finding that balance between these two, being able to learn from the lessons of the past, but not, and bring the lessons with you, but don't bring the emotional baggage with you. You don't need to. You've already taken everything that you can from those lessons to apply to this new situation. And this new situation is not your old situation. So move forward and give it a chance. And, you know, get to the point where the belief is louder than the doubt. Okay, so Cancer is next. We got align. You're being asked to align with your current situation, even if it's not easy to do so. Trust that there is much to be learned by being here. Pushing against what is will only make things harder on you. Align, surrender, and trust. You also got, if you are noticing changes within yourself, it's because you're leaving the old version of yourself behind. You are elevating and shedding unnecessary layers. Old cycles are ending. Woo! And new beginnings are on the horizon. You deserve this new chapter. And then the final card is get out of your head. So, you're already at this point of a change point. So this align, this is something that you have been working on for a while. I think what's interesting is like for Cancers, I mean, it is a heart-led sign, right? It's a sign that is constantly leading with emotion and heart. What's interesting is through whatever lessons you've gone through and through this like new alignment that you have with yourself, you've also been trying to learn discernment. And that's also to protect your peace and to protect your emotional peace. So I think what's happened is like the pendulum has swung maybe a little further the opposite way, where it's pulled you out of your emotions a bit and more into your headspace. And to me, it feels like don't stress about that. This pendulum swing is on purpose, and it's so that you can recognize the differences between being completely emotionally led and completely head led. Because again, like this was where your comfort zone was, like being in that emotional space. Now you're almost becoming comfortable, like not so much disassociating, but learning when to be discerning of your emotions and learning when to protect your energy and protect your emotional space. So it's kind of swung you into more of this logical energy. But you deserve this new chapter. You're right in the middle of this space of you balancing out this new energy. And that's what this align is. And if anything, like to me, this is kind of, you're doing all the right things. Like you're going in the right direction. I think if anything, it feels a little bit like you might have been, it's been hard for you to leave this version of you behind, and to move into a new space. And I think it's because we got the miser, we got trust, and we got intensity. I think it's because part of this process of learning to align and learning to balance this logical and emotional energy, and this like new and old version of yourself, it caused you to really pull back a lot in your life and relationships with people. So you may have found yourself isolating quite a bit. And that actually could be what's happening right now is you kind of pulled yourself out of a lot of social situations. You've been kind of in your hermit mode or like hermiting in some ways. And because of that, there is a little bit of fear of coming back out of the headspace and like opening up in an emotional way to people, places, things around you. So the universe is just wanting you to know it's okay. Like you are going to find some equilibrium and balance between your head and your heart. But you also have learned a lot about what you deserve, what you don't deserve, your worth, what you're going to allow in your space, how you're going to allow others to treat you. All of that has been stuff you've already learned. This alignment is about kind of getting out of the fear of applying those lessons, like applying what you've learned out in the real world. You have started and really started to focus on understanding your worth and the fact that you deserve to be happy. Like you don't need to earn it. It is your birthright to find happiness and to go after those things that bring you that kind of joy and happiness. The universe is asking you to trust. And I think with intensity following, again, your fear is going back into the world, being around people again, and getting into that heart space that's too much to handle. It's, you know, Cancer, they can have a hard shell and super gooey center, right? So a lot of Cancers, you know, they come in very open, they come in very emotional, and they come into families that don't understand emotions, don't know what to do with any of that. So a lot of people who grow up in Cancer are usually forced to put some sort of barricade up. But it doesn't mean that the feelings and emotions go away. It just tends to be something that becomes siloed and compartmentalized and put away for another time. And usually that time is never convenient. So I think this fear around opening up again, going into spaces with people again, letting people into your space again is where this fear has been coming in. And it's because of the past and how that made you feel. And not only that it was uncomfortable and intense, but like overwhelming. Let me pull a card on just this trust. Clinging to the past. Okay. So again, this is basically trust that you deserve this new chapter. This past is not going to repeat anymore. This, you know, going through a whole lot of intense emotion or intense energy, then basically cutting yourself off, becoming a miser, hiding in your own space just to try to like collect your energy again and pull all of the pieces back to you. You're done with that. And that's what's aligning right now. And this next step of your alignment is that alignment between the head and the heart of going, it is okay for me to feel. And I also have control over what I allow in my space and how I deal with anybody that I involve my emotions with, right? You have boundaries now, and it's about enforcing what you've learned and enforcing those boundaries. And boundaries aren't always a hard no. Sometimes they're just a not today. So when you do need downtime and you do need to come back to yourself, you're always going to transmute emotional energy. That is part of being a water sign. It's part of being Cancer. But the point of this alignment is for you to be able to do it without having to hold on to all of this stuff that's not yours. So you're in the middle of this process. I think the biggest thing is really allowing yourself to change and like to move forward and to do your best to be unafraid of what's coming next. And just the people that are going to come into your space, because you can always say, no, that's all right. I can respect your journey and not go on it with you. All right, so let's go into Leo. Okay, Leo, you got fresh start. You're being given the opportunity to begin again. Allow yourself to embrace this new life and open it fully to this gift that you've been given. That's lovely. You also got resilience is one of the strongest qualities you have. It has gotten you through so many trials and tribulations in the past, and it will continue to do so. Lean on that inner tower of strength anytime that you need it. You've got this. You also got keep the promise you made yourself. So this is wonderful. Also, I like that resilience came out for Leo because like having strength to move through things and move through trials, like that is the strength card from tarot, and that is a Leo card. So I think this fresh start that's coming into your space, it has everything to do with your wants and desires and needs and not anyone else's. This is very much just about you. And it's funny because I don't actually feel a lot of resistance energy in this space. I want to look up this card to see what other message is in here for you. Because it feels like you already know all of this. Like you're already moving forward. You're already moving past whatever trials, tribulations it's taken to get here. You're like starting to see not only the light at the end of the tunnel, but you're starting to understand exactly what you want. And you're ready to go after it. This keep the promise you made to yourself. It says, show up for the dream you once whispered. Integrity, self-trust, commitment, inner alignment, sacred responsibility, devotion to your vision. You once made yourself a quiet promise, maybe in a journal, a prayer, or a late night moment of clarity, a vow to try to rise, to build, to become. That promise was sacred. This card is your reminder to return to it. You don't owe the world anything more than you owe yourself. The dream you whispered when no one else was watching still matters, especially now. Your follow through is a form of self love. Your consistency is a vote for your future. Show up, even if it's hard, even if you're scared, especially when you'd rather run. Keep the promise, you're worth that level of devotion. You may have drifted from a goal or intention, not because you're uncommitted, but because life got loud. This card invites you to come back to the root, to remember why you started. Your dreams don't require perfection, only presence. They are waiting for your return, not your apology. Each time you honor a commitment to yourself, you build trust in your own spirit. That trust becomes the foundation of everything. So this fresh start has everything to do with you. This has everything to do with something that's taken a long time to get to. And this is about keeping a promise to yourself. I actually don't think you need a reminder for this. I think this has been your driving force. There has been something that you told yourself a while ago that I'm going to get that. I'm going to do that. I'm going to go after it. And you may have had a lot of obstacles that got in your way through it. And I think sometimes that's hard to experience because you're always like, I get it. Like, I know what I want. I know I can do it. Why is all of this stuff getting in my way? And this feels like it was a lot of outside things got in your way. We got fighting, completion, and intensity. Yeah. So it feels like you had a lot of obstacles pop up the moment you went, I want that. Like, that is exactly what I want. You had a lot of things populate to slow down your journey. And I understand that that was frustrating, but the entire reason of this is because you're completing some sort of contract or karmic cycle. Obviously, depending on your belief systems, but like, there's something that needed to complete here. And it may have something to do with also you being able to believe in yourself. Like, some of this may have had to happen. Okay. Guidance. Yes. So this is a combination for me. Some of this had to happen and slow you down. One, so that you would listen to yourself. You would lean more into yourself. You would believe in yourself to keep going no matter how hard and difficult things were getting. That you were not going to break this promise to yourself. But also, this guidance, there was something about you being disconnected from your higher self. So even though this is some sort of destiny, this is some sort of thing that you were always meant to go after and have, the reason why there were so many lessons within that space on your journey to it had everything to do with you then learning how to work with your higher self, work with the energy around you, and trust it. And trust that it's part of you. It's not something that's outside of you. You know, I think it's interesting how we kind of associate guides and, you know, spirit guides, whatever you believe in, guardian angels, as something that is outside of us, something that is more powerful than us, you know, something that knows more than we do. But honestly, like, we're the entities, we're the energy that's having the actual physical experience here on the planet. That everything that's up here, everything that's around us, anything in the ether, the energy that is helping us through all of what we're experiencing, it's not that they know, you know, more than us, so they're more powerful than us. They're here to guide the journey we already know. It's just we forget. You know, we come in knowing who we are, and then we're told repeatedly that's not who you are, or that's not who you should be. You should be these other things. And so much of the journey is, you know, of our life is not to something, it's to ourselves. It's back to ourselves. So this happened to connect you more to your higher self. And before this, you may have been somebody who maybe wasn't super spiritual, maybe had gone through some sort of religious background and it did not resonate with you, or you had a bad experience with it. And this has pulled you back into not only your type of spirituality, but to yourself, to the energy around you that's been helping you through all of these trials and tribulations. And again, like, spirituality is your own personal thing. Like, your journey and experience doesn't need to look like anybody else's. And anybody who tells you it needs to look like this, like, I'm always like, run from. Nobody knows what the fuck is happening here. Like, no one knows what we're actually going through. We have a lot of guesses and ideas and stories around what this experience is, but no one really knows. So always choose what works best for you. But whatever this was, it not only connected you to your heart center and to your intuition, but it connected you to the energy around you and your spiritual journey. So this fresh start is kind of like that space of, I've gone through all of this already, and now I have become something new. And this promise to yourself, like this promise that you made to yourself, this to me feels like something that's actionable, something that you can create, and you're basically there. And this is basically just telling you, like, good job. That was not easy. But the reason why, because I think that's been the bigger question, is like, why did I have to go through all of this? Was to connect you to yourself and to connect you to this greater plan or this greater energy for your spiritual path. So amazing job. And like, give yourself some kudos. Okay, next is Virgo. So for Virgo, we got focus. You're being asked to shift your focus away from what isn't working and toward what is. Paying extra attention to where you place your focus is the first step toward creating an amazing life. You also got abundance. You're being asked to open to abundance, to believe that you're deserving of it, and to believe that it will flow to you. This is the first important step toward receiving it. Breathe deeply and trust that it's on its way. You also got make today your new beginning. Try to leave any past mistakes in the past. Don't allow them to weigh you down for any longer. Move forward today with the confidence and knowing that you have better and brighter days ahead. You also got, if your mindset is fixed, try to free yourself from that and rise above it. Don't place limitations on what you have or what you think you can achieve. Don't stand in your own way. Allow yourself to flourish in all of the ways. Welcome abundance in all forms into your life. And you are so much closer to a powerful breakthrough than you may realize. You have been praying for things to heal, for new opportunities to appear, relationships to improve, and these prayers will be answered soon. And then final card was you are the magic. So, oh, Virgo, I love you so, my little sister sign. Okay, so you've gone through a lot. The energy here is actually very, very heavy. You've come from some very, very traumatic and difficult experiences. And I think, you're all the way on the other side of that now. You may still be releasing, some of this trauma or some of this past pain. But you are ready for a new beginning. The fact that it says here, like, make today your new beginning, it's up to you. So you're at a choice point where it's like you could stay in this past energy of all the things you've been working on and healing and focusing on. You could stay there a little bit longer in your comfort zone, or you could move ahead and create this new beginning for you. So this whole mindset is fixed. Try to free yourself from that, rise above it. This is that don't place limitations on what you think you can achieve. That is coming from the old energy. So this again, this may have a little bit to do with your inner voice versus your ego. So you wanting to move ahead, you wanting to create this new beginning, you know what direction you want to head already. This is your Virgo. Like, you've had a 100-step plan already written down. You have contingency plans attached to that plan. But this older energy is keeping you still. It's keeping you from moving ahead. And I think it's because there's a part of you that thinks you have to be 100% healed to move forward. Like, that it has to be perfect, which is very much a Virgo trait. Like, it has to be perfect before you make a move. This is reminding you that, like, you're the magic, you're the creator here. The only thing that's slowing you down right now is you. And you do not have to be 100% healed to move into the next space of your life. Sometimes you have to move into the next space of your life and open those experiences to continue your healing. Sometimes it takes you having a different experience to help heal those past incidents. I think you've done everything you can by yourself. You've done all the healing you can on your own. And it is now time for you to take this leap to pay extra attention to where you're focusing, which right now you may be focusing a little bit on the past, and you may be going like, I really need to move forward. I really want this thing. I have everything planned out. I'm ready to do it, but I'm also still afraid of like not like I'm afraid of fucking it up. Like I'm afraid of coming in with some of these wounds that I'm still trying to heal and, messing it up. And whether this is a new job or a relationship or whatever it is, there's some fear in here around if I move too soon, then I might lose it. This is reminding you that you are actually part of your own breakthrough. You are the magic and creator of your life. This is a choice point for you that I think part of what you're trying to heal here is this need for perfection. It is to understand that you are the magic, which is perfect. Like it's the imperfections that make you perfect. It's the scars that make you perfect. It's the life that you've lived up to this point that makes you perfect. You're perfect as you are, because truly there's no such thing as perfection. And you will always be your worst critic. You will always hold yourself to a higher standard. But part of what you're supposed to learn in these last steps of healing this old wound that you have, which feels horrible, by the way, like it feels like really heavy shit. So if this is a relationship, it was some sort of betrayal or abandonment or harm your way that you held on to, that you tried to fix or mend or make it your responsibility. You blamed yourself for it. There's a lot of like self-blame in the energy that I'm picking up. But you've worked so hard to move past that. You've also opened your eyes to reality of what actually happened. And you've learned how you played a part in it, but also what was done to you, right? So I'm going to pull a couple cards just to see. Oh, all right. Okay, so we got the burden, new vision, the lovers, success, and silence. All right. So yeah, this feels like, this feels more relationship based. That won't be for everybody. That's a Virgo that watches this. Like it can be friendship. It can be family members. It can be a romantic relationship. It could be a job just because like abundance is showing up. Abundance is like way more than money. Like this has to be like, to me, feels more like abundance of joy and happiness and fulfillment and love. Like the thing you've been searching for your whole life, the thing you thought you may have had, but that betrayed your trust, the thing that you've been wounded about. That's this burden. This is what you've been carrying. Like you've just been carrying a dude and a rooster on your back up a mountain. And you're at a point where it's like you've already had a new vision. You've already seen a direction you want to go. You already have a new beginning that you are ready to create from a more healed space than you've ever been in. Is it 100% healed? No, because part of your healing comes from this. Part of your healing needs to be being with someone who knows your worth and value as much as you know your worth and value. Someone who gives you equal reciprocity, someone who loves you unconditionally, the way that you love others. That is what needs to occur to finish healing this scar that you've been carrying with you for so long. And you're so afraid of taking this leap into this new vision of this new person or this new experience. You've been holding yourself back due to a past hurt, due to somebody else, which in a way you're giving your power away still to that person. You're choosing actively to not go after what you want yet because you're still afraid it could end up like this, how it did with this other person, which means like you're pulling that person into a relationship that hasn't even occurred yet. Your healing has to come from having a different experience. It's the only way for someone like you, who's in your mind constantly, who needs to understand things, needs to be rational and logical. You need it to make sense. But love isn't rational. It doesn't make sense. It comes out of nowhere. It is not anything you can control. It's fucking magic. Like love is magic. So part of this last step of your healing is about you being okay, not being perfect. And by perfect, it's your standard of perfection, not being 100% healed, still being a little messy. And honestly, being okay with that. We're all a little messy. It's called emotions. We all have them. So, like, you are not alone in this. But look what comes after this. You have success and silence. And for me, this silence card, it's just like, look at the face. It's just peace. So the moment you choose yourself, you allow yourself to be where you're at right now and be okay with who you are right now. Make today your new beginning. Go for it. Call this person. Talk to this person. Reach out to this person. This person has been waiting. This person has been waiting for you to make this decision that you're ready to leave this behind and allow yourself to receive this, to allow yourself to receive reciprocal love, abundance, everything that you've ever wanted. Whoever this person is, this is like your dream boat. This is like every wish you ever had for what kind of person you were looking for is this person. You're not going to fuck it up. They had shit happen to them too. They're not perfect. They're also healing, and they also need you to take this step toward them so that they can heal these last aspects around their own hurt, pain, burdens, people who have harmed them, right? So you come into union with somebody, you heal yourself through that union, but it still takes that union for it to occur. And that's what I see happening. You're so much closer to a powerful breakthrough than you may realize. The thing is that you're the breakthrough. You're waiting for a sign, or you're waiting for something to say, you're perfect now, you're ready, you can go into this situation and, it's going to turn out perfect. This is your sign. You are perfect the way that you are. Move forward. This person needs you too. You're not alone in that. Okay, thanks, Virgo. Okay, and next up we have Libra. Your first card is release. You're being asked to release any toxic people or situations from your life. You deserve to be free of all drama, and this is the first step to achieving that. You also received, where you are right now is where you are supposed to be. Don't compare yourself to others. That only adds pressure. Take each day as it comes and for what it is. You are a better person than you were yesterday. Growth isn't easy, but you've got this. And then the final card you received was fear means you're growing. So it's interesting because you obviously have a theme going here. There's a lot of this release and also growth at the same time. So it does feel like you're kind of coming to the culmination of, or the ending of a healing cycle. And this obviously, we're constantly healing and forever healing. So it's not like you're done, sorry. But this is a big one that you've been moving through for a while. And it has something to do, I think, with, you can kind of overextend yourself to others and put others first in a lot of situations. I think some of what your lessons go around, or what you've been working on, is releasing not only like your need to please, but to actually find balance for yourself. I think you like try to create balance a lot for others, and you kind of can be like the last person on your list of who or what who should be taken care of. So you're at this point of release, and this to me feels like it's bigger than just you. It's bigger than just some thought forms or thought patterns. You may have had a lot of like people, places, and things fall out of your space in the last couple years. And it feels like you're kind of at this like culmination point of a final big release. And it could even be like not that dramatic. Like it could be almost like a breath out of releasing, this final piece. And I think this has a little bit more to do with, you may have been, releasing things from your life, or, you may have been releasing things from your life, or you may have been releasing things from your life, or you may have been releasing things from your life, or you may have been releasing things from your life, or you may have been releasing things from your life, or you may have been releasing things from your life, or you may have been releasing things from your life, or you may have been releasing things from your life, or you may have been releasing things from your life, or you may have been releasing things from your life, or you may have been releasing things from your life, or you may have been releasing things from your life, or you may have been releasing things from your life, or you may have been releasing things from your life, or you may have been releasing things from your life, or you may have been releasing things from your life, or you may have been releasing things from your life, or you may have been releasing things from your life, or you may have been releasing things from your life, or you may have been releasing things from your life, or you may have been releasing things from your life, or you may have been r they may have been releasing themselves from you, right? Like sometimes we hold on very tightly to things and the universe will kick that to the curb for us. And we don't always understand why somebody or something might leave our life. So this is basically, you're at a point where it's almost like you don't need to fully understand why things had to leave. You just need to understand that everything that changed and any changes that occurred in the last couple of years was for your betterment. It was to release space of that you were holding for people that brought a lot of drama, that were probably like a bit energetic, vampires. Um, and so I know that this is the first step to achieving that, but to me, this feels like you're really coming to the end of this cycle of like change. And by that, like people, places, things coming into your life and exiting your life. You also may have had some people come in quickly and leave just as quickly after you maybe thought that there was going to be a much longer, connection. So there's something in here too about like comparing yourself to others, right? And comparing your growth to others. I feel like you feel like you've taken too long to kind of sort through some of this energy, emotion, some of this release, and it's not true. There's no, timeline that you're on right now. You're exactly where you're supposed to be in this moment. And you have two cards here of growth. So it really is like this last step of like, it really does feel like an energy of like exhaling. It's going to bring in that balance that you've been craving for yourself, but it also allows you to go to that next step of growth. And this fear around this, I think, again, this feels a little bit like a little bit of the older energy. Like this to me feels like this is where your understanding is coming from. Like you're finally understanding that the things that were scary, as people, places, and things may have exited your life, you're understanding that some of those things needed to leave to not only make room for other things, but for you to make room for yourself. Because it feels like there was a lot of you putting others first. Let's see what else wanted to come out. Okay, so we got silence, sharing, and traveling. Now, the silence card, like to me, this always is a peaceful card. So it does feel very much like, again, that's almost like that exhale of energy. And once you kind of are able to release this, like these last bits of kind of, it just feels like very like strong emotions because it has to do with people that you trusted, people that you may have put on pedestals, ideas or situations that you held in high regard and that showed you it wasn't what you thought it was. So that sharing card, I think, you're almost getting to the point where it's like, once that is released, your next space will be going back into this space, which also means like you're just going to be way more aware of who you're letting into your space and who you're sharing your energy with. And traveling, it's funny because like this is actually the Eight of Wands in tarot, which is movement forward, which is that's what it feels like. But I want to pull a card for traveling. The dream. That's Six of Cups. So there's a part of this that feels very much like, and the bottom of the deck is harmony, which is 10 of Cups. Yeah, you're coming to a space of way more peace and calm within your, energetic dynamics with, again, whether it's a workplace or people, you're getting to a point where you are going to be able to set better boundaries for yourself and also just not allow, energy into your space that isn't doing anything but taking from you or causing a lot of excess drama. So the Six of Cups, in this rendition, it's basically like dreaming of a soulmate or a love. But this to me feels like, again, dreaming of balance, right? Like it's something about you kind of coming back to, if we go to the traditional Six of Cups card, it's a bit of you coming back to yourself. And being able to get into this energy, which is about creation for you, like, right? Like bringing something in that you're really wanting. I don't think you've had a whole lot of time for that because you were so focused on everybody else's stuff, and what everybody else needed from you. So it feels very much like, yeah, I just shuffled and then the We Are the World came out, which is 10 of Pentacles. So again, it's just like you're coming to, that's two tens. And like both of those cards are like everything that you could ever want, when it comes to your emotions, and then everything you could ever want when it comes to the physical realm. And then if we kind of just go off of harmony and We Are the World, it allows you to come into your own energy and go into a space and not only be able to protect your energy, but to transmute the energy that's around you without it becoming heavy. And on top of that, just being way more selective about who you're spending your time with. And, if you had a lot of people, places, things exit your life in the last couple of years, and you haven't had, new come in yet, it's coming. So there's something about this last piece of the release that once this occurs, and it doesn't feel, I don't know, it just doesn't feel like it's a huge thing, like, oh my God, I did it, and I'm finally there at the end. It really feels like almost a sigh of relief, like something comes through where all of a sudden you no longer need to understand why. It's just, you don't need to know the why of why somebody exited your life. You only need to know that it happened for you and for your greater good and your experience. Okay, next we have Scorpio. First card is Have Faith. It's not always easy to have faith and trust that everything is going to be okay. Yet still, you must do exactly that. Because when you have faith, your life will begin to flow in magical ways that you never imagined was possible. And then we have Trust yourself more. Know that you are in the right place at the right time. Opportunities will present themselves to you when they are meant to, and in divine timing. Get excited about the future again instead of fearing it. And then we also got Make Noise and Be the Storm, two very big energies. So there is something in this that feels very much like you're trying to move forward in a situation. I can't quite pick up if it has to do with like work, but it feels a little bit more work oriented. Scorpio is not always known as being like the quiet one, but there is something about this energy that you may have painted yourself in a corner a bit. And by that, I just mean that you may have quieted yourselves in places that you didn't feel comfortable being yourself. So this Have Faith, there's something about you making a move and moving forward in some way or going towards something in some way. And there's a little bit of pessimism there. There's a little bit of fear around the, is it real? Will it actually happen? I think what will help at this time is to try to surrender to the situation. And by that, like, you don't have control. So, if this was like putting in an application for a job or telling somebody how you felt, like the ball is in their court now. So it comes down to like you being able to surrender that whatever's coming next is exactly what's supposed to happen and in the cadence that it's supposed to happen. So, this trust yourself more, know that you're in the right place at the right time. I think this is also about using your voice. And by that, like just having not only faith, but the belief that if you are the one that stands up and says exactly what you need, you will be able to transform that situation into something that actually not just benefits you, but benefits the entire experience. So I did want to read specifically, Make Noise is pretty clear, which is, again, like, it's almost also like part of this trust might be being able to continue to tell yourself, like, making noise can feel to me like you know, you even telling yourself even like some sort of affirmations of like, I do have opportunities and they are coming my way. And, you know, it's however it's going to unfold is exactly as it's meant to. There is something about surrender here. Which is funny because it's almost like this be the storm energy is the exact opposite, but it feels like this is part of the surrender. Because even, you know, being part of the storm or like, you know, this is the ocean, right? So there is still something about you being able to go with the current, and to choose your wave, right? Like this isn't just about just doing, you know, taking any wave that you can. This is about creating that wave. So let's see what Be the Storm is. Says, stop fearing failure, become unstoppable. Does that have faith? Power, fearlessness, inner force, momentum, transformation, owning your impact. You are not here to tiptoe through life, afraid of breaking things. You're here to move with purpose, to stir the air when you enter the room, to shake what needs shaking. You are the storm, not the damage, but the undeniable force of change. This card is your call to stop playing defense against failure and start playing offense for your destiny. When you fear failure, you shrink. When you embody your power, you move mountains. Let go of trying to avoid mistakes and focus instead on becoming so persistent, so grounded, so alive with purpose that nothing can hold you back. Be bold, be wild, be too much. Be unapologetically unstoppable. If fear has been running the show, fear of judgment, fear of falling short, fear of being too much, fear of it not working out, right? This card is here to interrupt that cycle. Power doesn't mean perfection. It means knowing that even when things go wrong, you still rise, you still roar, you still create impact. Being the storm means trusting that your energy is meant to move things, stir hearts, challenge norms, shift your own life, stop shrinking to be safe, and choose to be sovereign. So it's funny because it feels like in the surrender of allowing, right? Allowing whatever is going to happen, that actually helps to empower you to keep moving forward, right? Like this to me feels like not just perseverance, but like if somebody could tell you with full guarantee that everything was going to work out exactly as it was supposed to, and it's going to bring in things that are even better than anything you could have wished for or tried to manifest, you know, like how would you move in the world? What would you do? How would you react differently to situations as they come into your space? There's something in here about like you having faith in this unknown, you having faith in within the surrender of the things you can't control is part of this trusting yourself, because ultimately we can't control anything, right? Like we can only control ourselves, like who we are, how we show up, how we treat ourselves, how we treat others. That's our power. And so something about you surrendering to that unknown or that need to control will allow this trust, not only for you to trust yourself and trust the universe, but to trust yourself to keep moving forward, regardless of what the past, you know, has shown you. Because there's a lot of work that you are starting to do. This feels like, not that you haven't been healing, I feel like you have been focused on doing a lot of your own work, but there's something here about almost like maybe you were healing a lot more of things that happened to you. And this is starting to push you into a zone of like you starting to heal things you've done to yourself, which has more to do with this like fear around like lack of trust of things we were working out. Again, we kind of were raised in a society that was fully all about like, when's the other shoe going to drop? Like something's definitely going to go wrong. Like nothing ever goes right all the time. Like it's never going to happen. So this feels more like a bit of a healing journey that you have with yourself. We also got comparison and celebration. So there is something about this opportunities. Like I said, if it's a job or like, I just feel like there's something that you want to go after or you have gone after and you're in this waiting period. I think this older version of you is kind of doing this comparison, right? And so it's like, if it is a job and you know the other candidates, or you know who you're up against, you may be spending a lot of brain power in worry, like, oh, that person, you know, is probably going to get it because, you know, whatever, they've been at the company longer, or they know the person, or they're better friends, or whatever. It just feels like there's been a lot of this back and forth of comparison. And, you know, almost to the point of like why you probably won't succeed. And, you know, I think it's interesting because Scorpio, to me, this is more scorpionic energy to me. This like be the storm and make noise. Like that's really more at your core, you know, like you are the I don't take shit water sign, you know, like you are the one that is persistent, and you are the one that will continue moving forward no matter what. But this to me feels like you have just been struggling with some comparison. And, you know, since this is talking about timing, it could even be like, you know, where you are in life right now in terms of like, I should be making this amount of money, or I should have this title, or I should already be married, or, you know, like there's something about like your fear around timing, or that you're behind, or that, you know, it's taking too long. And this is very much about like getting out of that fear space and surrendering to that unknown, but just like trudging forward. And, you know, in just standing in your power is part of you being able to be here now, like be in the moment, instead of all of that fear around the future or the past. So the card right after that is celebration. So whatever this is, it almost feels like the universe is trying to give you a little reassurance that whatever this thing is that you've kind of put out into the universe is coming back to you. And it's going to be bigger or better or more unexpected than you could have ever imagined. So, you know, it's almost like, let's say you applied for a job and you really want that job, and they give it to somebody else. And then a different one comes along that maybe is a similar role, but it's at a different company. And it's at a company that like you would love to work for, but you hadn't even considered leaving your current company because you were really just trying to move up in that space. It almost feels like that kind of energy, like something unexpected may come through, but it's going to be better than what you were initially even going after. So I would say try your best to surrender to the energy right now. And at the same time, throw a lot of that kind of anxiety or fear into what you can control, which is yourself, which is that continue being yourself, continue putting yourself out there, continue going after what you want, and, you know, create a new narrative for yourself. It doesn't have to be like, why doesn't anything ever work out? It could be like, what if everything works out this time? Or what if everything works out exactly as it needs to for my best interest? Okay, next is Sagittarius. You got connect. You're being asked to connect with others in meaningful ways. Sometimes it's helpful to get new perspectives and to simply be around other people. You're in need of this right now, and deep connections will benefit you in many ways. You also got, no matter how much you're being tested or pushed right now, stand your ground and push back. Believe in your own integrity and self-worth so much that no one can get in your way. Have the confidence to move forward. You can and will do this. And then the final card that came out for you is choose yourself. Now, what's interesting is you have, again, like push and pull energy. Again, with everything that's happening in Aries right now, like you've got all these planets that are moved into Aries. You have planets of like go and you know, Aries is the go energy. It's like, don't think about it, just act, you know, like worry about consequence later. So we have a bunch of planets that are in these spaces of like go, go, go. And then you also have planets where they're, you know, whole mood, like Saturn is like, you need to think about what you're doing before you make a decision. So there's a lot of this like go, 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 stop, go, 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 stop. Like you can't, you know, it doesn't quite feel, it's almost like you might be getting this inclination to like make a big jump or to go forward, and then immediately it's like something pulls you back from, you know, like the back of your collar and will not allow you to go forward right now. The energy is very back and forth. So even in this space, you have, you know, connect, which is all about uh, connecting to others in a meaningful way. And then in here, it's all about, you know, like stand your ground and push back and believe in yourself and choose yourself. So to me, this actually feels like this has a lot to do with your connections and who you're connecting to. I think that a lot of what you may have been healing more recently, and something that it may even be a thread that you've been healing for a while, but it has to do with who you're allowing into your space. And it has a little bit to do with like your ability to be vulnerable or not. I feel like you've had some people in your life that you chose to be vulnerable with, and it ended it ended up being quite painful for you, or quite a painful experience, because you didn't feel understood. Um, and it almost felt like not just not feeling understood, but also feeling judged. And so something about this like connect has more to do too with like the standing your ground and pushing back. This to me is like learning how to connect with others while still being able to choose yourself and create healthy boundaries. So I actually want to read this choose yourself card. Okay. Every time you do, you rise. The key themes are self-worth, empowered choice, boundaries. Oh, there we go. Inner alignment, self-trust, radical self-love. Every moment you choose yourself, your needs, your dreams, your truth, you rise a little higher. You reclaim a little more of your power. Choosing yourself isn't selfish, it's essential, because no one else can live your life, speak your truth, or carry your vision but you. This card is a reminder that your own approval is the only one you truly need. Stop waiting for someone else to say you're worthy. Say it to yourself. Choose you in the quiet moments and the big decisions and the way you talk to yourself when no one's listening. Self-honoring choices build an unstoppable life. You may be feeling torn between what others expect of you and what you know in your gut you need. This card invites you to come home to yourself, to check in, not check out, to listen inward before you look outward. The more often you choose yourself without guilt, without apology, the more magnetic and aligned your life becomes. Choosing yourself is an act of courage, and it always leads you back to the truth. So this is very much about learning how to be in connection with others without losing yourself. And the fact that it's coming up right now, I think it's because you may be in the middle of reassessing. That's the best word that will match back to this energy. You're like reassessing the people that are in your life. You're reassessing how much energy you're giving to certain people. And some of this isn't just like even people you're super close with or like romantic dynamics. Like some of it is just like even who you're interacting with at work, like who you interact with like on a daily basis. Even people who don't really know you well. It's something about like being able to be open and vulnerable while at the same time being able to set boundaries and only allowing certain people into that space of safety for yourself. And, you know, the card talked about like worth and not needing others to define your worth. And I think that could have a little bit to do with like your connections in general. Like you may have in the past, you know, kept people in your life because for whatever reason, they made you feel worthy or wanted or needed. But I feel like a lot of those relationships, they were takers. And so it feels like you were really constantly giving to situations to a bunch of takers. And I think you're at a point where you're like, I would really love for somebody to try to give to me. But you also have been a bit shut down. And when people do try to give, you may be struggling a bit to receive. So part of this I guess it's kind of like a lesson that you're learning right now is learning how to, one, you don't need anyone else to validate you. But if you choose yourself and you always are constantly like standing in your integrity and knowing your worth, then again, like anybody who doesn't get you or anybody who's not going to support you, they will fall away. Like people want you to stay the same, especially if it's more of an unhealthy dynamic between you and somebody else. They want you to continue to be that person, whether you're that person that always let them borrow money, or you're that person that always, answered the phone call and would listen to them for an hour, complain about their lives, like, and then not take any advice that you gave them, right? Like, it's just like any energy and output that you were pushing out for people, you were not putting toward yourself. And then you weren't getting anything back from those situations. So, in pulling some cards, we got participation, past lives, slowing down and going with the flow, and consciousness. And it feels very much like this participation in past lives may have had something to do with like maybe more like karmic connections. And, obviously, depending on how you feel about karma, it's just that it feels like you had some soul contracts or people that came into your life. And it could have even been like that immediate trust, like you really felt like you knew this person and that they understood you, only to like discover near the end, like not only did they not know you at all, it's in some ways, one, maybe it's because they never asked about you, right? And in other ways, maybe you were also more closed off to sharing things about yourself. And I think that's where you're at right now. There's this dynamic between people who don't deserve your time, who are not reciprocating in any way. And then you have people who've tried so hard to give back to you, and you've had such a hard time receiving. So this slowing down and going with the flow, along with consciousness, this to me feels like you're getting to it's like a turning point in who you're going to be allowing into your space, but also like learning how to receive from people who do deserve your kindness and time and ear. Like you're at a point where choosing yourself also means making sure you're choosing relationships that are the best fit for you too. It's not just about the other person. So keep doing what you're doing. This consciousness, again, like I think you're pretty aware of this. It's something you've been working on for a little while. You just may be having a couple relationships coming to a head right now. And some of it might be like more of the unhealthy dynamics, but it also feels like there may be more recognition now about those relationships that were actually really good, that maybe you were more closed off to, or afraid to share things about yourself, or afraid to receive. And that's to help you open up to the people that are worth your time. Okay, next we have Capricorn. We got detach. You're being asked to detach from something that you've been holding on to. When we hold on too tightly to the desired outcome, it restricts the flow. Trust that the outcome will work out and let go of your attachment to it. And then you got receive. You're being asked to open to receiving universal gifts. These could come in the form of love, money, compliments, healing energy, and universal wisdom. Know that you're worthy of these gifts and open up to them. And then we also got be true to yourself in all ways. Not everyone will get you. They can only understand from their level of perception, and that's on them. No matter what people say, don't ever doubt your worth or the beauty you hold within. Stand tall in your power. And then the final card you got was you are not too much. So this is a very clear message. You're at a end point, a checkpoint, you could say, of letting go of something or someone. And you may have been stuck in this space for a while, of wanting to choose something. Like there's a part of you that's wanted to choose something new, but there's a part of you that's been so hung up on this other situation that you may have even decided to kind of like dip your toe into something when you weren't fully detached from something else. And that doesn't have to be a relationship. This does feel a little bit more like it could be. And this is almost like you dreaming of, like, let's say you were in a relationship that was, you saw the end coming, like it wasn't getting any better. There was no change happening. But instead of being the one to choose to end whatever that relationship was, work relationship would work too. You were kind of waiting for the other person to do it. And while that was happening and while you were waiting, you were kind of like looking at what your other options could be and what they were. But, you know, even if it's, let's say, a job, like you're really ready to leave this job, but you're trying to find a different job to go to, it was almost like nothing was populating that was better than what you were already experiencing. So instead of, you know, choosing to let go of, and obviously like most of us would want a job before we stop a job, but instead of letting go of that situation and trusting and then going and trying to find something else, it's kind of almost like you were just hoping that maybe they would fire you, you know, and you get like a severance package while you were looking for another job. It's a really like interesting energy because I really am picking it mostly up in like a relationship. So it could be that, again, like you had a relationship that was like really dead, done, over with, but neither one of you were ending it. And there could be even some blame around that, you know, like I don't want to be the bad guy or they don't want to be the bad guy. And so you guys were kind of just staying in this space, but it was really unhappy. And so you're at this point where like detachment is actually going to happen. Like it's a choice. And it's not like you can completely shut off emotions, right? But it feels so much like you're so ready to let go, you know, like, but I think part of the issue or challenge has been you trying to control what that's going to look like. And this is very much about like letting go of what you would want all of that to look like or how it should all unfold and just let go. Because right now, the holding on is actually what is preventing the new from coming in. And, you know, if it is a job where, of course, obviously, we would want a new job before leaving the old job, this could be even more of a mental block where you're still trying to justify the place where you're at. So even if it's like, oh, you know, like I'm miserable here and I don't like working here and every day is horrible. When somebody's like, well, you should leave. Like, why don't you look for another job? Your immediate response is like, well, no, because, you know, they've done a lot for me. You know, it's like kind of that energy of not being happy where you're at, but also not making the choice to change or make a change. And I think it is something to do with like that need to understand the outcome and what that's going to look like. And the universe is asking you to trust. Now, something about this obviously has something to do with like you being yourself. The fact that it has in here, you know, don't ever doubt your worth or the beauty you hold within, stand tall in your power. You are not too much. Like this feels like whatever this energy is, what you're trying to detach from is the opposite of this, right? It's whatever, you know, if you're at a job that made you feel very disempowered or you were in a relationship where they made you feel like you were too much or asking too much for, you know, like equal reciprocity. The universe wants you to know that that's bullshit. Like you're not too much. You were maybe too much for that person or that job or that situation, but it's just because you have changed and it can be the other person changed or the job changed. But like you're evolving in a different direction. So your energy is shifting into something that's no longer aligned with this. So this is kind of like the universe telling you it's time. Like it's time to let go of how all of it's going to unfold. You can't control the other person. You can't control that job. You can't control any of those things. You can only control yourself. And it's time for you to stand in your power and know your worth and know your value and know that you are not too much as you are. You just don't fit with whatever this is anymore. And that's okay. Whether you've outgrown it or it's changed so much that you can't even see yourself with it anymore. The ultimate thing is it's no longer aligning with your energy. So we got silence, transformation, and compromise. It's interesting because the silence card has come out on several of the readings today. And, you know, this card always is just such a peaceful card. And it feels like not just peace, but balance. And I feel like this is what you're seeking. You know, that receive is also about, you know, that equal reciprocity, like what you're putting out, you're getting back. And it may not be exactly the same form, right? But it's what you need. And this to me feels like the universe wants you to trust yourself, you know, like trust your gut feelings, trust your intuition, trust your higher self, that little voice that's been in your head that's like, it's go time. You know, like, why are we still here? Why are we still sticking around? Or why are we still justifying a situation that we're not happy in anymore? You know, it is almost like wasting precious time. You know, like our time here is finite. And this feels like something you've been over for a while, but also have been really, it doesn't even feel like fear, like you're afraid to let go of it. It doesn't even fully feel like you're afraid that what will replace it. It really has more to do with like, it's a comfort level. It's like if you're at a job and you've been there for 8 years, you like know it inside and out. You could, you know, do it with your eyes closed, but you're also bored, you know? And it's almost like it hasn't been enough for you to want to challenge yourself and push you out of your comfort zone. But you're getting to the point where your peace is like more important to you. So this transformation comes in right in the center. And this to me feels very much like you choosing to finally let go of whatever this is. And again, if you're in a job and maybe you finally start looking for a new job, or you stop defending this job and, you know, have a real talk with yourself about like, this no longer aligns with me. I need to try something new. I'm going to start looking for something new and start putting my resume out. And if it's like a relationship, it's the same thing. Like this just doesn't fit anymore. And like, why am I dragging this out for this long period of time? It's wasting my time. It's wasting the other person's time. Like it's time to like rip that Band-Aid off. You may not know what's coming down, you know, the road, but the whole point is it's going to be a more aligned situation than what you're experiencing now. And the fact that this you're not too much card comes up, whatever this is, it makes you feel like you can't be yourself. And, you know, it just means that whatever this person, place, or thing is just not aligned with you. You may be too much for somebody, but that just means that somebody is not for you. You'll find somebody else that does not think you're too much. But you're not going to find that person, or you're not going to be available to that person if you're still holding on to this situation because you are comfortable. Even if it's uncomfortable, you're still comfortable. You know it inside and out, backwards and forwards. Again, you can do it with your eyes closed. It's time for you to make yourself a little bit more uncomfortable and step out of your comfort zone. And that's what this transformation is. It's once you detach, and again, you can't just like turn off feelings, but I feel like this has been dead for a while. Whatever this is, like it almost feels like you're so tired and exhausted from the situation. Like even the feeling there is just exhaustion. It doesn't even feel like you have some huge spike of emotion anymore or attachment to this thing. You have more of an attachment to your comfort. So this last card is compromise. And to me, this feels very much like almost you making a compromise with yourself. That like, okay, I am ready to let this thing go. And I'm not only doing that for myself, but the compromise here is I'm willing to be a little uncomfortable to then find something or some place where I'm the most comfortable I've ever been. I shuffled the cards and healing came out on the bottom of the deck. Yeah. This fighting right under it, that's to me like what it's almost like this is that resistance to detaching. You have two very different energies here. And in order for you to find this like peace or this balance, it's basically being able to detach from this thing you've been trying to control and hold on to, and allow yourself healing, allow yourself the time to heal, to bring something else in. And some of that is just you admitting this isn't working for me anymore. And there's no sense in me putting my, time and effort into it anymore. So if there were ever a good time, it's probably now. And just keep in mind that everything is going to happen exactly as it's meant to and in the timing. So this just feels like you are at the point in your life where you can actually make this choice. You're not waiting for somebody else. So if anything, it's the universe telling you, like, jump, like, go for it, because something better is just like waiting for you to let this thing go. Okay, next is Aquarius. We got the card change. You're being asked to change a part of yourself that no longer feels like the person you've become or are becoming. Change isn't always easy, but letting go of this outdated part of yourself will allow you to align with your true self. And then you also got, be clear about where you're putting your focus right now. Focus on your desired outcome. You have everything within to create the life of your dreams. Stop doubting yourself for once. This is your time. We've got you. And then we got fail forward, which is kind of interesting. I'll probably end up reading this one. But this feels like, obviously, there's a lot going on. Pluto is in Aquarius, and it will be for like 20 years. We're going to be in this for a while, and all Aquarius, depending on where you have it in your chart, it's going to be, it's almost like going to constantly have rebirths occurring around it, because Pluto is, can be a planet of like that, tear it all down to rebuild it, or build it back better. So change is like the name of the game for several years, for you. But like, it's not all negative, and it's not all really hard. To me, this is almost saying like, hey, change is inevitable. Like, you're not going to be able to control it, but be clear about where you're putting your focus, right? So, if you can't always control the things that are coming at you, what can you control? Like, what can you control in terms of the choices that you're making right now for yourself? And as far as this fail forward, it feels like there's some sort of like integration that needs to be happening right now. And it is an old version, a new version of you. You're kind of teetering in between the two. And that's a lot of the energy right now is like that. There's a lot of push and pull energy. Fail forward is, let's just read this card because I'm like so curious. The energy coming off of it is really interesting. It doesn't actually feel like failure. It feels like, divine intervention. But let's see what it says. Okay, the core message. Each setback is a step towards success. Resilience, learning through failure, growth mindset, courage, redefining success, rebound. Failure isn't the opposite of success. It's part of the path that leads to it. Every misstep, rejection, or detour holds a lesson, a redirection, a sharpening of who you're becoming. When you fall forward or fail forward, you turn setbacks into stepping stones. This card isn't about glossing over the hard stuff. It's about empowering you to rise from it. The fact that you've fallen means you were trying. That alone is worthy of celebration. Your courage to begin again is proof of your power. Success isn't built by never falling. It's built by not staying down. You may be feeling the sting of something not working out the way you hoped. A plan unraveled. A dream got delayed. You're allowed to grieve it, but don't confuse a temporary loss with a permanent identity. This is a chapter, not your conclusion. Let failure be a teacher, not a label. Ask it what it's here to show you, not what it says about you. There is wisdom in every wrong turn if you're willing to keep moving forward. Interesting. Okay, so because of all this change energy that's coming in for you, some of the changes that might be occurring right now are this. It's like the perceived notion that something isn't working out, or again, like something didn't happen the way that you hoped it would. But it's basically saying you have everything within you to create the life of your dreams. Stop doubting yourself for once. This is your time. We've got you. this be clear about where you're putting your focus right now. You might be having a hard time focusing on what you want because you may be focusing a little bit more on what you don't want. Pull a couple cards for you. That was a lot more than a couple. Okay, what do we get? Stress, the Lovers, the Miser, conditioning, and courage. Oh yeah, you got a lot going on. Okay. Well, that's why like this, oh, look at that. Rebirth is at the bottom of the deck, which is exactly what we talked about with like this change and Pluto being in Aquarius. It's tearing everything down and rebuilding something back better. So if perceived failures are coming into your space, or things are not working out, I think the point here is that it's all part of your redirection or your rebirth. There's something here about like not just you trusting in divine timing and that everything's supposed to happen the way it's going to happen. It's also about you almost becoming more comfortable with your lack of control, becoming more comfortable with the fact that change is constant and that you don't have any control over that. You do have control over where your focus is and what you're paying attention to. So if right now you're only paying attention to all your losses or things that haven't worked out, the universe wants you to remember that like those things didn't work out, but besides failing forward, it also helped you move forward. It helped you grow and change and evolve. And it's helping you become who you are now, but also like who you're becoming. So we have stress and the Lovers and the Miser, and this actually all feels connected. So this to me feels very much like this isn't even just one thing. I think like the energy around this change card is so overwhelming because it feels like it's a lot of different areas of your life that has been this energy, just been chaotic, and you really trying to make it make sense and feeling a little bit confused and a little bit overwhelmed. And when it comes to the Lovers and the Miser, this to me actually feels very much like, again, things that you were really hoping were going to work out that seemed soul aligned or aligned with like your mission or what you wanted to do or where you were trying to go. It was held back from you. So with this Miser card, it's like, even with things being stressful and confusion being like the main part of what you were experiencing, you were still going for it. You were still persevering and you were still putting time and effort and energy into these things, but it still wasn't giving you anything back. And that's what's forcing change to occur. And this isn't, like I said, just one thing. It's been multiple things, which I'm sending you a huge hug because this energy is not easy. But it's also like you've given your power away a lot in terms of even this, like you may be a little confused or you're not receiving something back, but you keep giving, hoping for a bit of a different outcome. And then the outcome continues to be the same, which if it's not aligned with you, the universe is pulling it back. The universe is taking it out of your life. The universe is ghosting you with whatever these things are to force change, to force you to focus on something different, which is really to focus on yourself. It's really to focus on you ever evolving. It doesn't mean that like you won't ever have things that are similar to this. It's just that these are the things that are not aligned with who you are becoming. They may have been aligned with an old version of you. They may have been aligned with who you were previously, but you've changed a lot just in these last couple of years, but like especially within the last, I'd say 10 to 12 months. You've had a lot of change in yourself, in your inner world. So this fail forward, it is almost a rally cry that is, to me, like failure isn't even the energy that I'm feeling. Failure to me it's an opinion, right? Like it's our own opinion about something. Because you could go after something and it doesn't work out and you could perceive that as failure and it could have had absolutely nothing to do with you. You could have showed up and done everything right. It had to do with that person, place, their thing. It was their stuff, not yours. So like it's a perceived failure. But to me, the key word in this card is forward. It's forward movement. change is going to keep happening. The difference is when change occurs, where are you going to focus? What are you going to put your focus on? Where are you going to put all your energy? Is it going to be on the thing that maybe is not turning out the way that you were hoping? Or is it going to be on like, okay, how do I pivot from there? And Aquarius is great at pivoting. So I think this has to do with like the moment you allow whatever to happen without taking it on as like, oh, that must have been me. Like I didn't do enough. Like this person pulled back or this job didn't work out because I didn't work hard enough. I think the whole point is it's about you. Like to me, this conditioning card is not positive in this space. This feels very much like, again, you trying to conform to fit into a mold, to appease someone else or to fit into a workspace or to fit in with people by overgiving and overextending. And you've been like, you've been a lion with a lamb tied to your back, trying to fit in with a bunch of, you know, sheep. So like, I guess it's a sheep on your back, but like, I just feel like you've been trying to blend in with people that aren't on your level. And this is about you having the courage to step into not only your power, but to focus more on your dreams and not your doubt. So you're moving into this space where maybe you stop looking at things that didn't work out as a failure and you start looking at things as a redirection or a pivot. Like, oh yeah, that didn't go that direction because it pivoted and it shot me over here instead. There's something to be learned here about the change because that's not going to stop. I mean, it won't stop for anyone, but especially with Pluto being, you know, in your sign for the next couple decades, it's going to create a lot of change. And you're going to have constant change. And some of it may have to do, again, it has to do with wherever this is in your chart and whatever house it's in, it's going to affect the most. But ultimately, like it will affect everyone and everything. And it all has to do with perception. It all has to do with your perceived failure versus a perceived pivot or a redirection. And I know people will sometimes say like, you know, rejection is protection, which is very clever, but also very annoying when you've been rejected in some way. So I feel you. But I will say like, you are at a point in time where change is just going to be part of your everyday. And it is everybody's, right? It's not just you. But there's something here about you learning to ride the waves, of you learning to just flow with the current of change without constantly being like, if it doesn't go the way you think it should go, oh, you failed in some way. You could have done better, and then it would have worked out differently. This is saying no. Like, no, this is helping create a pivot and a rebirth for you. And that just means that the next thing that comes in may be more aligned. Okay, and finally, my dear Pisces, you got the card Believe. You're being asked to fully believe in yourself and your dreams. It's time for that idea that's lived inside your heart to be brought into the world so others can benefit from it. Believe that you can bring it to life, and you will do exactly that. You also got find ways to fill your cup. Be self-full. Follow your heart and always trust your intuition. Go deep within, find your triggers, and address them one by one. Self-healing is the best healing. Only then can you offer the best version of yourself. And then you also got turn the page. So, okay, Pisces. I know that you've been really going through it too. We had Neptune in our sign for like almost 15 years. We also had Saturn in our sign for like 2.5 years, kicking the shit out of us. Like, this to me actually feels so much about you, you coming into your own spiritual gifts. There's something about like, you may have been trying different modalities, but it feels like it was more in private. Like it feels like, you know, like let's say you've been reading cards, like it's only been something you've been keeping to yourself. This Belief card, like there's something that's happening right now that's been living in your heart for a really long time. And I think through healing, because this like find ways to fill your cup, to me, that's actually the only message on here that applies to you right now, because all of this other, like follow your heart and always trust your intuition. I mean, this is what you've been working on. You've been connecting with your higher self. You've been connecting with your intuition. You've been learning to trust that. You've been learning to understand what is your ego and what is, you know, your higher self. This like self-healing is something you've been hyper focused on for a while now. So really, there's something in here because this mentions your heart, right? Like this is an idea or dream that's been living inside your heart. And this is follow your heart and always trust your intuition. I think whatever this next step is, whether like I am picking up like something about spiritual gifts. So sharing your gifts with people, sharing your light with people. And, you know, it could even be that you've already been doing this, but there's another modality that you're really interested in, or even like a completely different thing that you don't think even has anything to do with spirituality. But by going toward that thing, you end up impacting people in that space just by being in that space. So don't put yourself in a box. It's like, this is, we have what, 5-6 planets in Aries? Set the box on fire. You don't need a fucking box. Like you don't fit in that box anyway. You never have. So this turn the page is turning the page on this old belief system. It's the old system of filling everybody else's cup but yourself. If you are going to go towards something new or something that you've been dreaming about or that's been in your heart, the whole point is to keep filling your cup first. Because whatever this is, whether it's, you know, something to do with healing or light work or whatever, or if it's something completely, you know, unrelated, it still has something to do with like making sure you're filling your cup first before anything else. Because if you continue to do that, then you can continue to bring whatever this is into fruition. But that old part of you that you have been healing, the self-healing that you've been focused on has been how to stop overextending yourself, how to stop people pleasing, and how to choose you. So I'm going to read the turn the page, but I want to see what comes out here first. We got transformation, morality. Get one more. That was funny. I think that was control that tried to come out. It's interesting, like this deck has been relatively easy to shuffle this whole time until now. We got healing and inner voice, which is all in here about listening to yourself and healing. Flowering is at the bottom of the deck. This is the Queen of Pentacles. Okay, so this turn the page has to do with this transformation and morality. This is the box that I was talking about needing to fit in some way or do something the way that it's always been done, or the fear around trying something new. And this transformation is setting the box on fire. This is no longer needing to live in this space anymore, because it's not even about morality. It is about old ways of being and thinking. And, you know, how you used to be is not who you are anymore. Like this transformation is, you've already done this. You've already done this through a lot of your healing work. The next step is to take all of the lessons that you gained and leave all the emotional baggage behind. So let's return the page, because healing an inner voice, like this is where you've been. This is like, I mean, listening to your intuition, trusting your intuition and following your heart guidance. Like that is where you've been leaning. I think you're just at a point where it's like, it's time for you to move past the older aspects of like how you would typically go about approaching something new. Whereas maybe, you know, even though you don't fit in a box, you may have tried to, for a large part of your life, to feel like you fit in, to, you know, try to fit in into spaces that weren't for you, you know, and they weren't for you because a lot of those spaces were taking energy from you. So, a lot of times it's like when we're in situations that are uncomfortable, they will continue to be uncomfortable and they'll even get more uncomfortable because it's, the universe trying to tell you this is not a fit for you. Like, this is a round peg in a square hole, right? Like, you're just like, this isn't something that you are supposed to fit into. You're so much grander than this. So set that shit on fire. So let's see, turn the page. Core message is your next chapter needs a braver version of you. New beginnings, courage, letting go, transformation, self-evaluation, and forward motion. You've outgrown this chapter. The story you've been living, while powerful, meaningful, and necessary, has done its job. Now something deeper is calling. A braver version of you is ready to step forward. But to meet them, you must be willing to turn the page. This card invites you to release what's been written and step into what's possible. The ending isn't a failure, it's an opening. It means you're evolving. It means something bigger is waiting on the other side of your willingness to move forward. Honor the chapter you're leaving, but don't linger in it. The next version of you is not found in the past. It's written in what you choose next. You may be feeling stuck between comfort and calling, safety and expansion. This is a threshold moment, one that asks you to trust your growth more than your fear. The future you crave isn't hiding, it's waiting on your courage. Turning the page doesn't mean you forgot what came before. It means you honor it as the foundation, not the limit. You're the author. You always have been. So ultimately, none of this matters anymore. Set the box on fire. It's time to move forward, take the lessons that you learned, leave the emotional baggage behind, and pursue whatever this is. And it can be something very simple. It doesn't always have to be something very big. It could be a hobby. It could be like you loved to draw when you were a kid. You loved to paint when you were a kid. And it's something that you love with all your being, but you gave it up at some point in time. And what that does is it's something that actually will fill your cup. So if there's something that's been sitting in your heart that you're wanting to pursue, it's time to go for it. And the old version of you wouldn't. The old version of you would find an excuse of why that's not, either that's not how one would do it, or almost like I keep getting like it's not cool enough, which sounds really silly and very kind of like juvenile or youthful. But I think it's because whatever this is may come from a place inside, a place in your heart where it was an old dream. So something that you loved and held close, and maybe it was when you were young. And at some point in time, it was kind of like people who tell you you have to grow up, right? Well, yeah, we all grow up. We can't stop it. But this could be something even like, it's almost like the energy that I'm getting is like, let's say you like loved playing with toys and you were playing with toys like so much later, in your childhood than maybe some of your other friends. And maybe you got teased and it was like, okay, it's time to like stop playing with these toys because this isn't what I'm supposed to be doing. But like, let's say you were playing with those toys and creating stories with those toys. And then once you took those toys away, you were not making narratives anymore. You weren't creating or imagining something or creating stories. And so, maybe it's something like that, where it's like something that became like something that you loved, that maybe even at some point someone shamed you for, or said you weren't that good at it, or it was time to stop doing whatever that was. Or even as simple as like, oh, you're never going to, make anything from yourself doing that thing. And so you put it down, you put it away, and whatever it created for you, whatever happiness it brought into your space, you were unable to pursue after that. And now is the time. You have done a lot of healing work. You have listened to your intuition. It's time to set the box on fire. It's time to finish your transformation. Come into this flowering energy of that Queen of Pentacles. Like, it's a very abundant queen. God, this card literally has come out in almost every reading. But this is like, I think this is what a lot of us are trying to seek right now. Not even just silence. It's that peace. It's that balance. And it's not so much like balance with the outside world and yourself. It's balance within yourself. It's allowing yourself to fully be you, and no longer caring about what anybody else thinks. Like, this is your life and you're meant to experience it the way that you want to. So it's time to turn the page on your old life. And maybe part of what you bring with you is a piece of you that you tried leaving behind a long time ago that has never really gone away. Thank you so much, Pisces. Take care.